him.
I want to watch the news.
Are you making headway at least?
This is the news.
Schmack-a-ma-gob, it's time for the only news that matters. And it seems to be widely agreed upon that the best and certainly one of the most long-lasting Megadeth lineup was the one that featured Dave Mustaine, Marty Friedman, David Ellefson, and Nick Menza. After all, they were responsible for such thrash releases as 1990's Rust in Peace, 92's Countdown Extinction, and 94 Euthanasia, among other metal delights. But for the record, I think the original lineup, Garth Samuelson, Richard, Chris Poland, was my favorite lineup. But, you know, nothing against this lineup. They were tight. They were good. All played well. But that lineup would not even last a full decade, as Menza was the first to depart in 1998, which had left many fans wondering over the years what led Menza's exiting of Megadeth. During a chat with the Metal Voice with my buddy, Jimmy K. I've been on the Metal Voice quite a few times. And I've been on there doing metal trivia and I kick ass. I beat his listeners and his listeners go on Wikipedia and cheat and I still beat them. But anyway, back to the story. Ellefson said on the Metal Voice, "In a lot of ways, I feel like Nick died from a broken heart. I really do. I feel like his heart was broken from how things ended up with him and Megadeth. And he went through some challenging years after that. And it was talked about because I made sure it was talked about in the film, the 2025 documentary, This Was My Life, Nick Menza's Metal Memories with Megadeth and Beyond. It was uncomfortable. I was there to make the family, I wasn't there to make the family feel awkward. In a lot of ways, I feel like this film is for the family." Ellefson, who served as Megadeth's bass player from 83 to 2002, and again from 2010 to 21, pinpointed an event sometime in 1998 which ultimately led to the band parting way with Menza. The bass player said, "When he left, he was literally physically was not able to do the gig anymore. I remember we played in Arizona. We were starting up a run of dates. And then we're gonna go on to Ozfest 98. We were playing the Menza Amphitheater, which was a hometown for me and Dave at the time. And we were playing In My Darkest Hour, and we knew things were starting to go south." And again, I think Marty talks very good about this in his book, Dream in Japanese. But suddenly Nick, he wasn't present. He wasn't aware. And he was, playing In My Darkest Hour, and I went back to him to kind of cue some accents. And he was just playing right through it. He looked at me like he wasn't aware of what was going on. And I just went, oh my God, this poor guy, he can't do this anymore. According to Ellefson, a conversation after the performance created warning signs concerning possible personal struggles that Menza may have been going through at the time. And that night on the bus, Nick and I had a conversation, and he was asking me about my sobriety, which is interesting because I think the roads he went down after that were not so well for him. And it's weird that he was sort of asking. And I know as an addict myself, you sort of ask, but if you say too much, you're sort of admitting that maybe you need help. You know what I mean? And at the point in my mind, I was done. I was like, okay. And then Dave and I talked the next morning over coffee or something. And he said, dude, you have my blessings now. You have my blessings to make the change. Nick can no longer do the gig. Wow, how sad. Nick passed away on May 21st, 2016 at the age of 51 from heart failure on stage, man. How heartbreaking. And, you know, he had kids, wife, young man. And I very much look forward to this documentary coming out. They're showing it in LA at the theater on April 10th and in New Jersey on April 17th. And it's called the website is www.thiswasmylifefilm.com. Yeah, Nick Menza, man. I mean, yeah, he is my second favorite Megadeth drummer right after the great Garth Samuelson. But not to take nothing away from Nick, he was a monster during those first few tours with Megadeth. Man, the Rust in Peace. I saw Rust in Peace twice. That tour twice. And, you know, I saw Countdown. I saw Euthanasia. And I saw the last one. I saw one of Nick's last shows. Because I know it was, and it was a small gig, man. They played on the second floor of this club. And downstairs, the bigger room of the club was a disco. And they had to have that show done at a certain time so the disco can start. I think like around 11 or something. But, you know, upstairs was pretty big. It wasn't tiny or anything. And it was a good show. Nick played amazing. And it was the first time I seen them do Mechanic since the Peace Cell tour. Or maybe it was So Far So Good. But it was an awesome show, man. And that was the last time I ever seen Nick Menza. You know, there's been people that replaced him and they were all great. But Nick Menza, I got to say, even over Garth Samuelson, he was the best showman. You know, he would stand up on his drums and point at the crowd. You know, he had this aura about him, you know. And it's sad, man. It's sad he died. And I know he tried to go back to Megadeth at one point. And there's even there was some hidden camera that recorded. And Nick sounded fine to me, but hey, I don't know Megadeth. Dave Mustaine does more than I ever will. And it didn't go well for him. Dave didn't think he was up to snuff. And that must have crushed him even more, you know? And yeah, it is sad, you know. Nick wasn't good enough to play in Megadeth, and he got kicked out for that. Where Junior, he got kicked out of Megadeth for shaking hands with the Milkman. Yeah. He was marching the Penguin. That's what he was doing. He was polishing the banister. He was Lone Rangering. He was boxing the One-Eyed Champ. You know, he was celebrating Palm Sunday. You know, he was visiting the safety deposit box. He was orbiting Venus. That's why they kicked him out, you know. He was finding out Nemo. He was cuffing the carrot, you know. He was dialing the rotary phone. I don't know what I'm saying. But you know what I'm saying, right? He got kicked out of Megadeth for playing 5-on-1. He was making waffles, you know? Oh, man. He was turning on the sprinklers. He was softening the peach. Do you know what I mean when I'm saying that? You know? That he was spearing the bearded clam? You know? He was paddling the pink canoe. Oh, he was scratching Yoda behind the ears. He was trolling the Bermuda Triangle. What the hell am I saying? Seriously. He was burping the worm. He was giving himself a hand. Oh, man. Yeah, that's what he was doing. And he got kicked out of Megadeth for that. Yep. Kicked out for drilling for oil. You know? He was engaging in safe sex. How much safer can sex be than singing soprano, you know, debugging the hard drive? Watching the Magic Mike trailer. Oh my God. I don't know what I'm saying anymore. But anyway, not to make light of Nick Menza's passing, which I'm not, you know. It's sad. He had kids. That's the most important part. But yeah, I'm going to goof on Dave Ellefson forever. Whatever, man. Hey, I'm not perfect. We all have our flaws, you know. But, you know, you have to be a special kind of stupid to get on the phone and jack off to some girl over the phone while you're married and you're a preacher. All at the same time, you know. You deserve to be goofed on for eternity. All right, maybe not, but fuck it. It's funny to me. And I know some of you find it funny as well. Hey, I'm sure Dave's a nice guy and all. It's just a goof, man. Anyway, thank you all for watching the only news that matters. And what do you think of all this, man? Let me know in the comments below. And please subscribe to my channel if you haven't. And ring that little notification bell and like the video. It's good for the YouTube algorithms. So stay frosty. Listen to the drum work Nick Menza does on Polaris, on Rust in Peace, and smack 'em a gob.
Farewell and adieu to you fair Spanish ladies. Farewell and adieu, you ladies of Spain. For we've received orders for to sail back to Boston. And so never more shall we see you again.